It's a battle of the machines this weekend between the cars of F1 and M3GAN 2.0. This is the sequel to the shockingly huge surprise hit of 2023. The first M3GAN came out the first weekend of January 2023. Yeah. It's the first screening that I went to in the new year. And so they didn't have a whole lot of high hopes for that first M3GAN, I don't think. But they sure do now, putting it up against F1 this weekend.
Amelia didn't think of one thing, though. Here's a clue. It's M3GAN, bitch.
Yeah. Anytime a movie, I think that M3GAN is the one we'll be pointing to for the rest of our lives of like, well, not every movie that opens the first week in January is terrible, but usually that's the rule. But no, we're back bigger and better than ever. So Allison Williams is back as Gemma. And in the first movie, she was so obsessed with building a robot that she ignored her orphaned niece and turned the robot into a nanny, which of course then turned into a killing machine. This time, Gemma is ignoring her niece, once again played by Violet McGraw, to go out and give speeches and interviews about how to parent in this age of electronics and getting your kids off their screens. We thought M3GAN was dead, but oh no, she's not. Her intelligence continues to exist in the cyber world. And when a new robot prototype from the army named Amelia goes rogue, Gemma is forced to put M3GAN back into a body to defend the family and to stop Amelia, played by Ivanna Sakhno from Ahsoka, from destroying the economy and everything else. Along the way, we get Jemaine Clement as a very musky billionaire.
He's such a douche.
Yes. And and the bitch is back. What can I tell you? I had a lot of fun with this, but it doesn't quite build to anything. Like it's one of those movies that's sort of coasting on, like, oh, this is gonna get, and then it never gets. And I think for as much as it's a really potent satire at times about our reliance upon the internet and electronics and whatnot, kind of cops out at the end, which put me off. But along the way, very funny, some fun, thrilling stuff. It's not really a horror movie this time, the first one was. This is more of a heist thriller in a way. But they come up with fun stuff to do with M3GAN. There are some fun references to other movies that are delivered, lightly. So they might, whether or not they don't dwell on them. So you either catch them or you don't. I have to say, I felt like a very old person at my opening night screening because there's a really funny setup and payoff joke about the films of Steven Seagal that no one else in the theater seemed to be getting but
me.
So
I had to explain to Nick, I'm like, those were Steven Seagal movies. It's just so hard to capture lightning in a bottle twice like that.
Sure.
The first M3GAN was such a phenomenon. And I think a lot of that's because if I make queer explain to you, I think it was she became a queer icon, right? I think it had a lot to do with her popularity the first time around here. And I think they tried to like double that by having two of them here, like this bitch versus that bitch. And so it has some fun moments when it plays with the inherent absurdity of M3GAN trying to seem normal, right? As in the first one, if she's singing a song or trying to dance, like the fact that she just looks so bizarre and so unhuman, like that's what is fun.
Yeah, they lean into the uncanny valley of her and the sort of blankness of her face and in an intentional way, which is always, that's part of the joke here.
Yeah, and that is really effective. But this movie is 2 hours long. It's trying to do too much. It's essentially a remake of Terminator 2,
I was in my review. I was saying it's a little Terminator 2, a little Gremlins 2, and also weirdly kind of the same plot as the last Mission Impossible.
Oh yeah, but like the fact that this new and improved M3GAN is like bigger, stronger, faster, and M3GAN then has to turn into the hero, the protector, to fight off this worse droid, and that's exactly the T2 plot. And that's a less interesting place for M3GAN to be. right? When it softens her, I think it depletes her of a lot of what was interesting. And that was like the meanness, the quick wit. When we first see M3GAN come back, there's a lot of like sharp wit and just snarkiness. And and the way she like manifests herself is very clever. There are different bodies that M3GAN goes into, and the expressiveness of those incarnations is very, very funny.
Yes.
It's almost like Stewie on Family Guy sometimes, in terms of like that contrast, that friction between like the body and the mind, like how much more advanced and sharp the mind is compared to like the packaging that we see it in. And that can be fun.
And also the physicality of that as well. Like there's there's a moment that you know, I don't know if this counts as a movie reference or not, but I thought, are they Weekend at Bernie's-ing now? Like what's going on?
Did you think there was a foul play reference at one point? There's like there's like a big gala that Jemaine Clement has, and he
that's funny. I hadn't thought about that.
There's like a room that like rotates, and he like presses a button, and there's like a fireplace, and there's a rotating bed.
But that's not just a foul play thing. That like there's a bunch of old like Rock and Doris movies where they have the bachelor pad with the push buttons, you know. But yes, I see where you're going there, though. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, you know, I was on this movie's side for a good chunk of it, for like almost all of it. But then I just kind of felt like it never quite jumps into the next place where it could have gone. And again, I really think it sort of undercuts its own messaging at the end too. So it's sort of like, what are we doing here?
Right. The first one definitely has something to say about parents relying on devices as babysitters.
Yes.
And that's something that we are all guilty of at one point in time or another. But yeah, the message here kind of ends up trying to have its cake and eat it too, in a way that is not clever enough to get away with it.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's kind of the problem. But you know, do I want to see a M3GAN 3? Not sure at this point, really. And I think that's maybe the biggest failing here, is that it doesn't feel like they've got a lot of other stories to tell with this really fun former villain character, you know?
Yeah, everyone's game. Allison Williams is game. Both the actresses who do the body and the voice are game. Like everyone's up for this. It's just like the material, again, like it's just nothing's going to be the novelty and the thrill of that first one. And they keep trying to recapture that. So
agreed.
I'm going to say like a 5.
Yeah, I'm going to say a 6 just because I was entertained for so much of it, but it is ultimately a bit of a letdown.
All right. M3GAN 2.0 in theaters this weekend. Go check it out.